Chapter 1. The Boy Who Wanted to See the World. A long time ago, in a big and rich city called Macedonia, a little boy was born. His name was Alexander. His father, King Philip, was a strong and brave man. He wanted his son to become a great king one day. His mother, Queen Olympias, told him stories about heroes and gods. She said, "You are special, my son. One day, you will be the greatest king in the world." Alexander was not like other children. He did not want to play all day. He wanted to learn. He wanted to know about the stars, the sea, and faraway lands. His father found a great teacher for him. His name was Aristotle. He was the wisest man in the kingdom. Every day Alexander sat with his teacher. He learned about history, animals, the sky, and different people of the world. Aristotle told him, "A good king must be wise, not just strong." Alexander listened carefully. He asked many questions. Alexander also trained to be strong. He learned how to fight with a sword and ride a horse. One day, a wild horse was brought to the palace. No one could ride it. The horse was big and fast. It jumped and kicked everyone who tried to sit on it. The king was angry. "Take this horse away. It is useless," he said. But Alexander watched the horse. He saw something that others did not see. He said, "I can ride this horse." The people laughed. They thought he was too young. But Alexander went to the horse and spoke softly. He turned the horse's head to face the sun. The horse stopped jumping. It was afraid of its own shadow. Alexander jumped on its back and rode it across the field. Everyone was shocked. The king smiled and said, "My son, you will rule the world one day." From that day, the horse, Bucephalus, became Alexander's best friend. They went everywhere together. Years passed. Alexander grew into a strong and smart young man. One day, bad news came. His father, King Philip, was killed. Alexander was very sad, but he knew he had to be strong. Now he was the king. He looked at the map of the world. He remembered his mother's words, "You will be the greatest king." And so, a new journey began. Chapter 2. The Young King and His Big Dream. Alexander was now the king of Macedonia. He was only 20 years old, but he was not afraid. He stood in front of his soldiers and said, "My father made Macedonia strong. Now I will make it even greater." The people cheered. They believed in their young king. But being a king was not easy. Some men in the kingdom thought Alexander was too young to rule. They made secret plans to take the throne. Alexander found out about them. He acted quickly. He stopped the men before they could cause trouble. Now, everyone knew Alexander was strong and clever. No one could defeat him. A big plan. Alexander was not happy with just ruling Macedonia. He wanted more. His father, King Philip, had started a war against Persia, the richest empire in the world. But he died before he could finish it. Alexander decided to continue his father's dream. He told his soldiers, "We will cross the sea. We will fight the Persian king. We will make history." Not everyone agreed. Some of his advisors said, "Persia is too big. Its king Darius has a strong army. We cannot win." But Alexander did not listen. He said, "Nothing is impossible. If we fight with courage, we will win." Before leaving, he went to the great temple of Zeus. He prayed for success. Then he took his sword, his shield, and his best soldiers. He got on his horse, Bucephalus, and led his army toward Persia. The first battle. Alexander and his soldiers crossed the one sea and arrived in Asia. The Persian army was waiting for them. They were many. They had elephants, chariots, and thousands of warriors. They thought they would win easily. But Alexander had a plan. He studied the enemy. He moved his soldiers quickly. He attacked from the sides instead of the front. The Persians did not expect this. They became confused. Alexander and his men fought bravely. They pushed the Persian army back. After hours of battle, the Persians ran away. Alexander had won. The people of the city welcomed him. They gave him food and gifts. They called him the Great Warrior. But Alexander did not stop. He told his men, "This is just the beginning. We will go forward. We will take all of Persia." His dream was big. His journey had just started. Chapter 3: The King Who Never Gave Up. Alexander had won his first battle, but he wanted more. He wanted to defeat King Darius, the ruler of Persia. If he won, he would become the most powerful king in the world. Marching through Persia, Alexander and his army marched from city to city. Wherever they went, they fought and won. The Persian people saw that Alexander was strong, but he was also kind. He did not hurt innocent people. He let them keep their homes. He told them, "I am not here to destroy. I am here to make a great empire." The people began to like him. Some even joined his army. His army grew bigger and went stronger. The Great Battle. King Darius saw that Alexander was coming for him. He gathered a huge army. He had 200 war elephants, fast horses, and thousands of soldiers. Darius thought he would win. The two armies met in a big field. Alexander looked at his soldiers and said, "This is the most important battle. We must fight with all our strength." The battle began. The Persians attacked first. They were many, but Alexander was smart. He moved his army quickly. He and his best soldiers rushed straight toward King Darius. Darius saw Alexander coming. He got scared. He jumped on his chariot and ran away. When the Persian soldiers saw their king running, they also ran away. Alexander had won again. A new king. Now Alexander was the ruler of all of Persia. The Persian people respected him. They called him Alexander the Great. But Alexander was still not finished. He looked at the map again. He said, "There are still more lands to see. We must keep going." His army was tired, but they followed him. They knew that Alexander was not just a king, he was a legend. And so the journey continued. Chapter 4: The Last Journey. Alexander had won many battles. He was now the king of a great empire. From Macedonia to Persia, people knew his name, but he wanted more. He looked at his map and said, "We must go to India. We must see what is beyond." The Long March. Alexander and his army marched for months. They crossed hot deserts, tall mountains, and wide rivers. They saw animals they had never seen before: elephants, tigers, and colorful birds. One day, they reached India. The king of India, King Porus, had a vast, strong army. He had giant elephants in battle. The elephants were big and powerful. When they ran, the ground shook like thunder. Alexander's men were afraid. But Alexander said, "Do not fear. We have won before. We will win again." The last great battle. The battle began. The elephants charged. The Persian soldiers who joined Alexander ran away, but Alexander and his Macedonian soldiers stood strong. They used their spears and arrows to stop the elephants. The battle was long and hard, but Alexander won. King Porus was captured. Alexander asked him, "How should I treat you?" Porus stood tall and said, "Like a king." Alexander smiled. He said, "Then you shall be a king." He let Porus rule his land and made him his one friend. Going home, Alexander wanted to go further, but his army was tired. They had fought for years. They said, "We want to go home." Alexander finally agreed. They turned back and began their journey home. On the way, Alexander became sick. His men carried him, but his body was weak. One night he called his generals and said, "If I die, do not fight for my throne. Share the land and rule it well." At the age of 32, Alexander passed away. The world had lost a great king, but his story would never be forgotten. And so, the legend of Alexander the Great lived on.